So what is living large exactly? It's this idea of using what you've been blessed with, what you've worked so hard with, to the best of your abilities in your lifetime. So I'm doing this job for a very long time as the CEO of Alloy Wealth. And I've seen people that I felt like when I looked at them, I said, boy, they got it right. But I've seen others that quite honestly didn't get it right. And unfortunately, I get to see both sides of that quarter. And what I mean by not getting it right is sometimes I saw people that were greatly successful, but when they came to me, they were later in life and we helped them develop good retirement plans, but they really weren't living large plans because they had already passed the time in their life when they could have lived large. So when I've had good in-depth conversations with these people, one of the common themes is there were things they chose and wanted to do in retirement, but they never did, because they were afraid of rule number one in retirement, running out of money. So they just kind of hoarded the assets and never really used them. And so that just bothers me so much because I hate to think that, most of us have this idea of what we want to do with our lives and these goals and dreams that we've wanted to do with our time when we actually have more time available to us. But the idea that we're fearful and not be able to do that, man, that just sucks. It's not supposed to be that way. I hate to think what we're going to be asked when we finally get to that great place in heaven, but can you imagine with that statement of, oh, I blessed you with so much and you never did anything. I know, I was afraid. Well, I don't think that would be a good answer. So why don't more people live large in retirement and in life? Fear is one of the great obstacles, and that totally stems, in my opinion, which is why we focus so heavily on written retirement planning, because without a plan, a statement is not a plan. A statement doesn't tell you how much you can spend and not run out. But I think about when I was doing a seminar recently, and I was the guest speaker at this particular seminar, and I was in there and I thought I did a great job, but at the end I asked if they had any questions. So it was a room of about 50 people in it. And a person in the back raised their hand, and I got to their question. They said, I want to ask you a few questions if you don't mind. I said, sure, what do you got for me? And they said, well, I happened to be here when you drove up. I saw you pull up in that pretty car out there. What is that exactly? And I thought, well, that's kind of an odd question, but sure. I said, that's a Porsche. And he goes, what model? I said, well, that's a Porsche 911. He goes, those are pretty expensive, aren't they? And I said, well, yeah, they actually are. I said, it's a pretty new one, and yes, it was expensive. And I kind of grinned. I had no idea where it was going. He said, well, I actually Googled you before I came in to see who the speaker was going to be. And I found your address. It looks like you live out in Locust, North Carolina. Is that right? And I said, sure do. He goes, well, I did a Google search on that house, and that's a pretty big house. He goes, how big is that thing? And I thought to myself, what in the world is he going with this? And I said, well, actually, it's almost 10,000 square feet, 6 bedrooms and 9.5 baths. And he said, holy smokes, that's a big house. And I said, well, and I wanted to just stop and just right in front of everybody, just say, well, what are we doing here? Well, as it turned out, he was implying that obviously I've been very successful and I don't hide it. And so I thought about that for a minute, and here's how I really asked him. I said, sir, I don't really know where you're going with this, but let me be very clear. I live in America just like you do. And if you're more comfortable taking your hard-earned dollars to an advisor that has no money, working at some big box retail firm, and they've actually never had any money, maybe they drive a 15-year-old car, and that's who you're comfortable working with, and you're going to let them tell you how you should manage your money, good for you. That's who you should choose. But there are people out there that like to work with successful firms and successful financial planners that aren't ashamed of it. I've worked hard for what I've earned, and I don't mind driving a nice car and living in a nice home. I want my family to enjoy those luxuries. And I've worked very hard for it. And so not only do I have money, but I actually know what it's like to lose it. And I don't want to ever lose it again. So in America, we get to choose. I think society has put us in a place where we have to almost want to feel ashamed of doing things. So when it comes to living large is not about boastful. It's not about not being humble or things like that. But I don't think we need to hide what we've done either. I think we should do what we want to do with our money. And truly living large, one of the places that we really lean in to help people when they start planning for a successful retirement. After we've done the planning part, we ask questions like, what's next? In my opinion, I don't think we were meant to work as hard as I know I've had to work in my lifetime to just stop and just shut it all down. In fact, that sounds like a recipe, and you probably know people just like this, who worked hard their whole lives, they retired, got the gold watch, and sat on the front porch, and very quickly, what happened to their health? They died. That is not how I want to do retirement. When I think of living large, it's so much more than just finance. It's about faith. It's about family. It's about friends. It's about health or fitness, because it doesn't sound very good to say the four F's and an H. So faith, family, friends, finance, and health. No, and fitness. You got to get all those right. So have you ever heard this story about those who do or can't do teach? Have you ever heard that? Those that can't do, they actually teach. Well, listen, I have a daughter that's going to be a teacher, so I don't want to talk about her or the teaching profession. But many people in life can't actually do. We certainly have plenty of that in Washington right now, in my opinion. There are people that want to tell us what to do, but they've never actually done anything with their own lives. Well, here's where I'm going with this. Living large is about doing what you are passionate about. So it all starts with a written financial plan and then figuring out what it is you want to do with your lifetime. One of the things we have coming up that I'm just so excited about is I like motorcycles. I've been riding motorcycles since I was 8 years old. Used to race a lot, did a lot of both motocross and road racing, won a few titles and things like that. That's all in the past. But I still love the sport of motorcycling. So I'm planning an Alaska trip next year where I'm going to ride my motorcycle from Charlotte all the way to Alaska. And I'm going to be YouTubing it and putting it out there for you to see, still keeping up with the markets and doing my job. But it's going to be an amazing adventure. I'm doing this solo with a lot of camping, and it's going to be a trip of a lifetime because it's something I'm passionate about. What we like to do at Alloy Wealth in Living Large Retirement is help you find out what you're passionate about and then put a plan together so you can achieve that. Think about it this way. You tell me what you want to do with your life and how you want to accomplish it. And it's your money, not my money. I know what I want to do with my money. What do you want to do with your money? So let's talk about what you want to do and where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, what you want your legacy to look like. And then we're going to take and reverse engineer a plan back to where you are right now to help you achieve that. So you may be passionate about nice cars and things. I love going to car shows. It's one of my passions, motorcycles and cars and motorsports. I've never been a football guy, so I'm more in line with the motorsports side of it. I love going to the Formula One races and things. That's what I'm passionate about. So I've built a company and a lifestyle that allows me to do things that I want to do. What do you want to do with your money? And does your current financial advisor, have they put a plan in place? Do they even know what you want to do? Have they reverse engineered a plan to help you achieve your dreams? Not what their dreams are for your money, what your dreams are for your money. It all starts, as I've said so many times, with a written plan. And the other thing I would tell you when you're seeking out a financial partner, if they don't have passion for life, if they're just going through the grind of each day, that is not who I want to partner with my money.